Martin, we're live.
Hi.
Hello.
Hi.
Welcome to the stream, everybody. So, today we are actually showing you something, and that is, well, a C64 network playing. And as you can see on the upper left, we have a little small C64 window. That's actually my original C64 Pratt bin. Tiny one. And so we will make it bigger in a bit. But first we wanted to talk about this because, I mean, how many people would expect that you can actually do multiplayer internet games on a machine from '82? So,
Yeah.
you know?
So actually,
Right.
we should a little bit talk about the C64 for the people who don't know the C64.
Perhaps.
So yeah, how much megahertz are in the breadbin?
Well, not even a megahertz. It's 0.98 megahertz. So it's just
That's not
under a
much.
megahertz. Yeah. And it has 64K of RAM.
That's
was
if
a
you're
much-
European. If you're American, it's like 1.03 or 0.05 or something.
No, 0.2 actually.
0.2.
It's
we've,
0.2.
We've broken the megahertz barrier in the United States.
Yeah. Yeah. So the European model is actually 20 to 25% slower. Yeah.
Mhm.
Right.
So your music is all wrong.
Yeah, that's also a problem here. So, and what you can see in the background at Marta is actually his C64. So we are both live and making an attempt, which is hopefully successful, to connect each other on a game called NetRacer and race against each other on the internet, just like what you would do with a modern PC game, but on old hardware.
That
Okay,
is
so let's just check out how many kilometers are between us. I will quickly open up Google Maps.
Nice.
And so we can see, because we don't live near each other.
No, it's about 2 hours apart with the train.
Oh well, it's 250 kilometers, to be honest.
Nice.
That's quite nice. So not just to drive to each other and play together on a C64,
Exactly.
which always was fun back in the days, actually. But
Yeah.
so should I go to my
Sure.
machine then?
And this is, of course, through the magic of the internet, which the C64 has this
Yeah.
this. I don't know if people can see behind me that I'm actually connected to Q-Link, this old network that is.
Well, now I made you a
next
small
to-
picture. and
yeah, I
now
know,
this
but I'm
is
still there. I'm
C64.
still there on the screen. I can see myself on the screen.
True. Okay.
So
that means
but
now I'm actually loading the game, as
Yeah.
you would 38 years ago. So I'm just moving to my Z64.
Yeah.
Okay.
it's so often, or so not often, that we actually get to use the actual machines when we do this stuff, because usually it's emulated at this point. We're Scene World, by the way.
Yeah.
We have a disc mag that we also do, and a podcast and everything else. And Joerg's already having.
Yeah. I forgot the name of the program.
So are you guys are you using like Wi-Fi modems for this?
No, we are using RRNet, which is a cable modem.
Okay. Yes.
This actually is an amazing thing that there is modern hardware for the C64. Just to remember, a computer from 1982, and I bought this stuff last year, so it's the most actual revision of the board. Just plug and play. It's just plug it in your C64, having a MAC address, and there you are. Then having network access.
Okay, and now I just configured my IP address to use from my modem on the C64, and now I'm pressing the fire button to actually start the game. And I select the car.
Oh, I just see in the
Yeah.
how's it called? Besides then the game, there is some
Indicator for network. Yeah.
Yeah, no. There, I saw that the network code is actually done by Oliver V. Brooks. who is a member actually of
Yes.
World magazine.
So now you can see my car on the screen moving, and hopefully Martin will join us in a second.
I'll get the green car. Is it okay?
Yes, yeah, sure. And now you can see Martin and I are on the same screen,
There we go.
and we are racing against each other. So you can see that's really multiplayer internet.
Yes, with
So-
probably lower latency or better latency than the video that I'm watching of you doing it.
Yeah.
Well, it has a little latency here on my side because I'm using a USB grabber to get the composite signal of the C64.
Wait for you a little bit.
But yeah, you can see, yeah, he was nice enough to wait a little for me. And the thing is, you can actually, you know, destroy the opponent if you hit him enough. Then he's going to explode. So they...
Can we see that demonstrated?
Oh.
Yeah!
So, Jörg, we have to. What the winner will have as an advantage? We have to say something.
I don't know.
So if we meet the next time, the winner or the loser has to pay for our lunch. Then
There
Why
you
not?
go.
The next time we meet at Gamescom.
no.
The next time you're able to meet in person after the coronavirus has
Yeah.
finished.
Yeah, and that's probably me because I'm looking like I'm about to lose, right? You are way ahead of me.
Yeah, I could wait a second. because
You
Oh,
could,
Eskimo.
you could, but you don't
Yes.
want to. That's the difference.
But you know, a good steak will cost you some money then.
Yeah, interesting is, if AJ was joining, who is in the US, he would actually win the game because his
Yes.
American Z64 is a bit faster than our
Yeah.
European Z64, right?
Exactly.
As we
had
just
that.
learned,
We
there's
had
a
that issue
difference.
when we did this. We played this game once before
Exactly.
with Leif Bloomquist, who is the creator of the game.
Yeah, he didn't play, but Kevin, our member from Canada,
Yes.
did, and
Yes.
he ran
Clean
away.
the clocks, yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
Because he's because of the like I said, we broke the 1 megahertz barrier.
Oh, there he is. And as you can see on the left right, there is actually a network indicator for the internet. So there you can see we are not cheating. It's really connected to a server in the US that is syncing us on the playfield.
And it's so cool the amount of stuff they're making for the 64 right now.
Yeah.
Like they're making Wi-Fi modems, the RRNet. There's all these different ways of getting it online and accessing stuff like that. You know, again, you know, the Q-Link network that I'm connected to behind me. There's BBSs are having like a renaissance right now.
Yeah, exactly. And that's, of course, I mean, there is one disadvantage we have to talk about. Of course, the hardware is expensive. The network card did cost me 50 euros, but
That's
that is
not really expensive.
Yeah, well, for a network card, it is. For other PCs, you can get it for $5. But the thing is, the amount this hardware is produced is not so big. So
Right.
that you have to take into account, actually.
Yeah.
Just checking out if there's any sound. There is. Just,
Nice. Yeah.
but very
Monotone, yeah.
But
Someone said don't say C64, say Commodore 64 because it sounds
Ah.
much cooler when pronounced in English.
Okay. Commodore 64. Okay.
And also, there's in the chat we're talking about for the Atari 8-bit. There's FujiNet plugs
True.
into the ISO
True.
port
True.
on the computer and
True.
logs into the Wi. I need to get an Atari 8-bit because I used to have an Atari 800 XL and I never used it. Or I think I used it once and I made the generic, you know, Hello World program, and then I put it away again because I didn't know what to do with it.
Actually, what you can see here is a little lag. Sometimes Martin is jumping back and forth a bit with his car. That is because sometimes the stream is getting a bit out of sync. But that is also what you have with modern games. That's called
Interesting.
like a delay, you know.
Yeah, interesting other point by this user in the chat who is SKR. I'm not sure that stands for something. The NTSC games are slower on PAL, but run on the Atari 8-bit. All NTSC games run on PAL, but PAL games sometimes don't run in NTSC.
Yeah, for the C64, it's actually that it can happen that the game crashes either way, because some games were pretty hardware synced. For example, I have the NTSC version of World Games. It was just crashed at the diving event.
Yeah, well,
So
World Games should crash at every event.
well, World Games is actually one of those good games. Actually, yeah.
Yeah, that's actually not bad. It's not bad. It's not Summer Games.
And other games actually have mostly problems with the fast loader, which is also called IAQ loader, because that's also timing based.
Right.
Yeah. And then you have the case that some games are made entirely by a different game for another region, instead of converting the game. He's trying to get me crash into the wall.
He's playing dirty.
Actually, I would like to have some other stuff like cannons on board. So we should talk to Leif Bloomquist for another version, for an update.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah. We actually did once a live show with Leif Bloomquist, who is the coder of those games. It can be found on our YouTube. If you want to go to our YouTube, Scene World Magazine on YouTube, you can actually find the interview from 5 years ago.
Yeah, or it's probably on our homepage as well, in the blog.
It is.
sceneworld.org, and I feel like I should be saying we'll put a link in the description, but that's not what we're doing today.
No.
So the game is 5 years. There's no things such as an update.
Well, actually, the game is 12 years, but the stream is 5 years.
Okay. So.
Yeah, this game's been out for a bit.
Yeah.
And there's actually there were a few games back in the heyday of the 64 that, you know, there was Modem Wars, and I think there was a tank game or something that you could play online. And those were but I don't know if they've been I know that there was some work on getting them to translate to like Wi-Fi modems. Because Wi-Fi modems operate, and they sort of emulate the old Hayes modems. You know, you do the whole ATDT thing just with different, instead of putting in a phone number like you would have done back then, you put in a URL, you know, a telnet address.
Oh, he's catching up. Oh my God. Yeah.
Oh no!
Yeah. Well, you were a bit too risky there.
Oh man!
He wanted too much. If you want too much, guys, sometimes you can fail.
Yeah, sometimes.
Sometimes.
Yes, there actually was a version of for Twitter. It was called Breadbox 64, I believe, was the software for it, but it does not work anymore because Twitter changed their security protocols.
Oh, okay.
One of the comments in the chat was that he remembers a friend writing a Twitter message on the C64. You still can't do it if you go through, like, if you use the 64 as a terminal to access, like.
True.
Yeah. Oh, he says as an Atari guy, SKR again says as an Atari guy, I'm not using the 64 that often, but he's busy creating an ABBUC magazine.
Nice. So what we just saw here for a second, it was flashing red. That means for a second I lost contact to the server in USA. That is flashing red. The frame is flashing red. And that just happened for a second here. That means for a second I lost connection to a server. I mean, this is of course always a risk when you do this live, that something can go wrong. But so far, the server is stable. Our 38 years old are stable. Yeah, HJ is believing that if you say it too often, it actually can crash. No.
Connecting a Commodore 64 and an Atari XL is super interesting. I've done that with. I've been on a couple of Atari BBSs with the 64, and it's definitely. I have seen. Is it possible to see the video stream and chat window? Yes, the chat window should be right below the video screen. If you're on gamescom.global in the retro area, if you scroll down, you should be able to see the chat window. It's a
Exactly. Yeah.
yeah.
It's a Discord chat, but you can also
Yeah.
join without Discord if you just enter the name.
NodePond says that he likes the idea of having a cross-platform online multiplayer game, which I do too.
Wow, that would be
That
fancy.
would be
fancy.
that would be in the realm of Thomas Cherryholmes.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
okay, so the Plato system exists. It's an online network. Yes, Mule Online, a round-based game. Again, the Plato system is a like an online network. It was big in the 70s, I guess early 80s. It died off in the mid to late 90s. And it is Thomas Cherryholmes has made his clients for every machine you can possibly imagine: the Amiga, the 64, the C Mac, Atari. He's a big Atari guy. And there are games on that, like there's a flight simulator and whatnot, and they're multiplayer games, so you can play them with anything.
So should we go back to the talking screen?
SKR says that stands for Sasha Kriegel. He is the president of ABBUC EV, which focuses on Atari 8-bits. All awesome. Thank you. Welcome for joining our stream.
Yeah, well, that was NetRacer so far.
What is the current show all about? Playing 64 online, it seems, but I cannot see a description. Yes, I don't know why there is no description on our thing saying what it is.
I have no idea. I sent it all, but somehow it didn't make it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, in the last half an hour of this show slot today, we will actually have our other member, Joerg, talking about German paper mags in German. So if you know German, maybe...
Yeah, Sasha in the chat, I just wanted to point out, he said Tom is doing lots of great work, coordinating with a great team. I had the pleasure of meeting him 2 years ago, I guess, at not Gamescom. I was never at Gamescom, at the Vintage Computer Festival East, and he spent probably like half hour, 45 minutes taking me on a trip through. They were doing archaeology in the Plato net, and he just I mean, the guy is a monster with that, and he's just like, check this out, and I'm like, my mind can't keep up with it. I'm like, it was awesome to see in person, and I try to get on as much as I can.
Yeah.
Buzzy B says Martin Grozdy. I don't know what that word is.
Yeah, what we should also mention is Martin and we are using it actually also for data transfer. So with Warp Copy 64, you can transfer diskette images to real disks within 30 seconds.
Really?
34.
34.
Yeah.
Don't miss the last.
Wait, what platform is this on?
PC. Windows.
Oh, I was gonna say I use D64 on. I actually use the 64 to write my 64 discs, and it takes.
Yeah. Warp Copy works
on
like
Ice
that.
Age.
Warp Copy is the C64 is your server, and your Windows PC is your client.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. That I don't. You need to teach me more about that, because I don't know that, and I would like.
Yeah.
That's fascinating.
So
who won the game?
Well,
actually, I don't know. I stood up, so I have lost. Actually,
he gave up. He gave up. Yeah.
I gave up.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Well, and actually, Martin has a newer version of the net card, the RR net card. He can even send the transfer software itself to the C64, which is amazing.
Now, can you do this with? Can you do this with other things such as Wi-Fi modems and such?
No, the software was written for the RRNet.
Okay.
Not for Wi-Fi modems.
Sasha says that they're working on setting up a TNFS server with Tom.
We should explain that. Why is there even internet and network hacks on the C64? That is because Adam Dunkels a demo scener from Sweden invented Pico IP and Pico TCP IP protocols, and that were actually meant for Internet of Things devices. You know, smart cameras on the baseball game field and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And he invented that for product for a living. And then he decided, okay, now this is so small code, I can put this on the Game Boy, on the Atari 8-bit, on the C64, and build a network card around it. So the whole thing, Internet on the C64, was invented by a Swede called Adam Dankos. And we also did an interview with him about it.
Yeah,
So-
and aside from that, I want to point out there's like, we're talking about the Wi-Fi modems. Here is one I'm holding right now. This is one that is built by Always, by Nick Vivid, who we love to death, and it's the StrikeLink Wi-Fi, and it emulates the old Hayes modems. Like it emulates like a 1670, a Commodore 1670, if you were to plug that into your machine. So you can use regular term programs and everything else. So there's like a wealth of things, like a glut of. You can find these and knockoffs of these all over eBay. So many people. Bo Zimmerman makes one. There's a couple of messages in the chat that you guys are going to have to help me with, because I cannot. My face can't make those words.
What names? What names do you mean?
Andreas M from Amiga Future and Buzzy B.
Yeah.
But they might be
Okay.
talking to each other. I can't really tell, because I don't know what it says.
Okay. So,
Jörg,
yeah.
perhaps it would be a good idea now to show the other game, but it has no sense to play it together whatsoever. So it's
Sure.
another network game for the C64, which
I
has
can show
another
it.
feature.
Sure, I can show it.
Yeah,
I can show it.
actually, very interesting. The graphic isn't that nice, and the game isn't that deep as you should think, but the technical aspect is very interesting here, because if you start the game, it actually downloads the things for the game in real time from the internet on the C64.
Yeah, it is called Vortex Boot.
What's it called?
Vortex, and the
Vortex
program is
Boot?
called. Yeah, Boot is actually calling. It's called Boot because it's a boot program, and as you can see now, it's downloading the game data from the server. And it
Okay.
auto detected my network equipment. So now I just enter name.
Okay.
And you can see now there is the game data, and there is my ship. And I can fly around in the universe while the game data is downloaded live from the internet.
And
Well, I don't think. Maybe I am seeing this.
Yeah, you should see it. Because it's on the big screen.
Yes, it's on the big screen. It's not on my little screen.
yeah, actually, but the thing is, when I first loaded up Vortex, I was astonished, because if you load a game from diskette or even from cassette, it really is loading long time, and you just have what you have on your medium. But I booted up Vortex, and it actually began to download data from the internet. This is actually feeling so wrong on the Commodore 64.
Yeah.
But actually, from a technical aspect, it's amazing. I wish there would be more programmers doing this stuff nowadays, but I know there aren't that much people having this network cards, actually. So
There were so many times when I thought, back in the 80s or 90s, how cool it would be to have like a networked like RPG like Ultima or something on the C64, and I think
They have
now
that too. There
Yeah.
is a game out since this year. It's called Rouge. And
Say that again. It's called what?
how you pronounce it? Rouge or Rouge?
Rogue.
Rogue.
Rogue, exactly. And it's an RPG that's also like Vortex boot, or like Vortex, sorry. Boot means it's booting. Like Vortex play, downloading it live from the internet while you play it. So yeah, though you can play that.
That's and it also, you know, it also strikes me that there's the limitations that we had on this machine. And this is, you know, the retro area of Gamescom. So we're really, you know, that kind of what we're talking about is the retro stuff. But the limitations that we had back in the day have really been peeled away. And I wish somebody would make use of the fact that, you know, there used to be endless disc flipping, you know, for big RPGs. We now have SD to IEC devices where we can throw stuff on a 4 gig SD card. And imagine the games that you could make for the 64 with a network capability and a 4 gigs of storage. You know, that's ludicrous.
It is.
And so far I have not seen the SD to IEC quite used like that. I haven't seen any demos that have made really good use of it. People tend to stay constrained to the D64, you know, the 160K or whatever the floppy disk is.
Right.
You know, or even, you know, we use for the magazine, we use that, and we use the D81 for the 1581 disk, which is 800K.
Yeah, which we use for our online version on the homepage, especially.
Yes, right.
Yeah. But there were games using newer hardware things. For example, Metal Dust for the Super CPU.
Yeah.
Right.
That was released in 2005 by Protovision. That we should mention, perhaps. So there has been some games that were going beyond the normal hardware.
There's the SKR just said something about you know, so you would have to set up a playfield server, and on 64s and Ataris, programs just do the game math, download the playfields online, and that's kind of like a No Man's Sky model. You know, it's all procedurally generated. So that's why they can have, you know, 25 quintillion planets or something, because it's numbers, and everyone's computer renders it about the same because, you know, it doesn't need to store all that data. And you could do the similar thing with MMORPGs. Yes, the current Eye of the Beholder project does look awesome, and it does use the Easy Flash cartridge. That you are correct. I missed that. Yes, the Easy Flash has been a thing that they have been using for these games.
What we just saw, by the way, was the end of the graphic memory. So there was this little blocking things. Yeah, that is like when you reach reach code that is inside the graphic area, it actually displays on the screen, and that's exactly what we see here now.
I feel like you're just going diagonally to the left.
Yeah, that's like my last direction I gave on the joystick, and it remembered it.
So you're not actually playing it, you're just floating.
No, I just kept it there, and it's
okay. I thought you were actually playing the game, and I'm like, man, you suck at this.
No. My hands are free. Alrighty. So
Death metal on vinyl, yeah. Oh, that's you. That's you, Martin.
So looks like we are close to the finish line.
Yeah.
And we are now putting you in a short loop to hand you over to our German member Joerg. And
yes, when we come back, we'll be in German, and I won't be here because I will be useless in that.
Yeah. And we will have a German panel this evening at 8 p.m. where we talk with pioneers of the retro scene and pioneers of computer history, talking about the new products they are actually working on. Yeah, for example, Hans Eppisch and Richard Löwenstein and Oliver Lindau.
And Christian Kleisner.
Yeah, and Christian Kleisner. And that's tonight at 8 p.m. on this channel, on this place. To be sure to be ready.
Give Richard Löwenstein my love, because I love that guy, and Reshoot R. Right. I still my brain, I cannot go. Somebody ask him if it's Reshoot R or Reshooter, because it's driving me nuts.
Okay, guys, that was it. See you then. Bye.